Hello, dear students of the third prep grade, and welcome to a new episode of our program. This is our weekly episode of science, and on this episode, we'll be reviewing everything you studied during this semester with our teacher of science, Mr. Muhammad Mahmoud. Hello, Mr. Muhammad, and welcome to the program.
Hello, Yasir. Thank
So,
you.
what do you have for us today?
We have different types of questions. Actually, we will start with give reason for as complete the following statements, and if we have enough time, we can complete with some problems and what happens if.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So, hello, dear students. Today we have a new episode, and this is a special one for general review. As you see here, we have some types of questions. So let's go to start with give reason for. Question number 1 on the monitor. It is better to use alternating current rather than the direct current. So here we make a comparison or a little comparison between direct and alternating current in a form of give reason for. So here we have this question like that. Because alternating current هو السؤال بيسألني why we use alternating current than direct current. Alternating current can transfer for a long distance, and at the same time and has what يعني alternating معناها changeable يعني متغير and has variable أو changeable intensity and direction. At the same time, we can compete with alternating current can be changed into direct current. So why we use alternating current, as you see here, dear students, rather than direct current? Why? Because alternating current can be transferred for a long distance, ممكن ننقله مسافات طويلة, and has variable intensity and direction, يعني متغير, ممكن نغير الدايركشن بتاعه, and at the same time we can change the electric current intensity. At the same time, direct alternating current can be changed into direct current. Next question is, voltmeter is connected to both poles of the battery in the electric circuit. Why we connect the both poles of the battery? Here we talk about what? We talk about battery or electric cell to the voltmeter. So why we use voltmeter here between the two poles of the dry cell to measure what? Because we know voltmeter is a device used to measure two physical quantities. Here we talk about to measure what? To measure the electromotive force. Because we measure here for the battery the electromotive force, and the electric circuit we know is open. Okay, next question is, the voltmeter is connected to the conductor in the electric circuit. The same from the first sight, من أول كده ما أشوفه, we can recognize the difference between the two questions as question number 1 talking about the voltmeter here, question number 2 يعني talking about voltmeter is connected between the two poles of the battery. But here the question talking about the voltmeter is connected to the conductor, not to the battery. So we use a voltmeter here to measure what, not the electromotive force. Especially we use voltmeter in this case to measure what? يبقى to measure the potential difference. So here we measure another physical quantity. Okay.
All right, I have a question here. What type of current does a cell produce, and also what type of current does a dynamo produce?
Producing dynamo produce alternating current, while electric cell or battery produce direct current. So here we talk about the difference between alternating current and direct current according to the way of production. Dynamo produces alternating current, while dry cell or the battery produces direct current. Okay, we have another question here as give reason for, but this give reason for is give reason number 4. آخر question in this page بيقول the fridge is used to preserve food. Here we talk about the fridge. استخدم الفريج أو الثلاجة عشان نحط فيها الأكل. ليه؟ We know this question depends on the speed of chemical reaction. يبقى to decrease the reaction between food and battery. To decrease the reaction between food and battery and bacteria, sorry. يبقى again, if we talk about fridge here, fridge is used to preserve food or in preserving of food, حفظ الأكل. Why? To decrease temperature. بقلل درجة الحرارة يعني especially in refrigerator في الثلاجة. So to decrease the speed of reaction between food and bacteria. To decrease the reaction between food and bacteria. Okay, next question is a give reason for, but here we talk about another topic. Using molecule nickel in hydrating oil instead of pieces of nickel. Here we using molecule يعني مستخدم حاجة أصغر molecule than pieces or than piece. So we talk about what? Especially here we talk about the speed of chemical reaction. But in this case we talk about what in chemical reaction? We talk about the surface area, because we talk about pieces أي حاجة powder, fillings, pieces. So we talk about the speed of chemical reaction according to surface area. So how can we answer this question? We can answer to increase the speed of chemical reaction or to increase surface area. أول حاجة بزود السيرفيس area اللي هي المساحة. Surface area that increases the speed of chemical reaction. The speed of chemical reaction. يبقى if we use nickel in hydrating oil اللي هي عملية الهدرجة زي ما بيسموها بالعربي, using nickel here أقول له pieces or molecules of nickel to increase the surface area that increases the speed of chemical reaction. Next question is, reaction between ionic compounds are fast, whereas reaction between contributing compounds are slow. Here we talk about contributing compounds, which means covalent here. Contributing, which means covalent compounds. And we can use contributing or covalent. Okay, so why the reaction between what here? Between ionic compound is faster than reaction between contributing or covalent compound, or slow in covalent compound? Because we will write the answer and we start because ionic compounds are breaking down بتتكسر يعني into ions, while covalent or contributing compounds are breaking down into what? Into molecules. So we can differentiate here between ionic and covalent compounds according to the parts or the composition of each one of them, as ionic breaking down into ions, while covalent or contributing are breaking down into molecules. Okay.
All right, I have a question. It's
As what?
Give reasons.
Give reason for
yeah.
okay.
It says copper and gold do not react with diluted hydrochloric acid.
Yes, okay. Here we talk about the simple substitution reaction, especially as reaction between gold and copper with hydrochloric acid. And we know gold and copper are less active than what? Less active than hydrogen, because we talk about hydrochloric acid in questions of Yasser. As here we have hydrochloric acid start with hydrogen, because we studied before in first prep any acid produce positive hydrogen ion in water, as we studied in first prep and in third prep. So copper اللي هو النحاس and gold اللي هو الذهب, silver, lead, platinum, all these elements are inactive, بيبقى مش نشطة. Why? Because they are less active than what? Than hydrogen. In what? In chemical activity series. So dear students, we can write this question in your notebook. Here we can say copper and gold doesn't or didn't react with hydrochloric acid because copper and gold are less active than hydrochloric acid? No, are less active than hydrogen. Okay, so if we studied before the chemical activity series as a descending order or the arranging of the metals in descending order, يبقى we can answer any question and any chemical reaction about this part in our syllabus. Okay, we have another types or another groups of questions here as number 7. Mendel removed the stamens from the flowers. ممكن يجي لك question كده. Or cover the stigma, as we studied before in second prep. Stamen is the male reproductive organs in the flower, or in the plant, while stigma are the female reproductive organs in the plant. So Mendel in some plants removed the stamens, يعني قطع الstamens, or in other plants cover the stigma to avoid what and to make what. Here we talk about types of pollination. To avoid self-pollination. Self what? Pollination. And make what? And make cross pollination. So Mendel here cover the stigma or cut the stamen because, or to avoid, number one, عنده هدفين هنا, to avoid self-pollination and to make cross-pollination. We have two reasons. Any one of them is the opposite of the other one. Okay, the next question as number 8 is some mutations don't be transmitted from one generation to another. We talk about mutation here, and this mutation don't be transmitted from one generation to another. As what? As some traits. We can remove mutation from this question. ممكن أشيل كلمة mutation. We can use traits, بعض الصفات. برضو we can complete the question as it is. Don't be transmitted from one generation to another. So, because this mutation in what cells? Because this mutation in somatic cells. in somatic what? Cells. Because any mutation or any trait أو أي صفة in somatic cells can't be transmitted from one generation to another, while any trait or mutation in reproductive cells as gametes, as sperms or ova, here will transfer from one generation to another, or from the parents to the offspring or the new generation. Next question as number 9. The areas chosen for storing radioactive wastes should be stable. The areas chosen for storing radioactive wastes should be stable. We can answer why should be stable. So here we have no what and what. منطقة مستقرة يبقى ما فيهاش ايه وايه. يبقى to avoid transfer of radiation or radiations by earthquakes. مناطق ما يبقاش فيها زلازل, earthquakes and volcanoes. We can't store radioactive wastes, مخلفات إشعاعية أو نووية in any area contains earthquakes or volcanoes, مناطق فيها زلازل أو براكين, to avoid transfer of radiation by earthquake and volcano. لأن ممكن earthquake will open أو make sliding on some pieces or rocks of the Earth's crust, as we studied before in first prep, خدنا قبل كده في أولى إعدادي, so the radiation will get out and يعني the same time as with volcano. The next question as number 10. Radiation has a genetic effect. We still in the same question as radiation has a genetic effect, يعني radiation ليها تأثير على الجينز. يبقى because it takes place in what chromosomes? Yes, because it happens in sex chromosomes. In what? In sex chromosomes. Because we talk about genetic effect. So any genetic effect of radiation, so here this radiation takes place or happens in sex chromosomes. It will transfer especially from one generation to another one. Okay. Next question is, magnesium can replace copper in its salt solution while opposite can't happen. As the question of Yasser, as the copper and gold. Here we talk about magnesium can replace copper in salt solution while opposite can't happen. يعني this draft not the answer, but as we make Mg plus CuSO4, as you see here, magnesium can replace the meaning of question copper in its salt, but opposite can't happen. يعني if we make copper plus MgSO4, no reaction here no reaction, because copper can't replace magnesium in its salt solution. So the answer of this question, why? Because magnesium is more what? Active than copper. مش هو هيحل محله؟ In what? In chemical activity CS. يبقى because magnesium more active than copper in chemical activity series, as we have here MgSO4 plus Cu as a copper as reddish brown precipitation or brownish red precipitation or red precipitation. لونه يعني الثلاث الوان دول الكبر اللي هو لونه بني محمر او احمر يعني. precipitation which means ان هو راسب يعني go downwards. Okay. Next question is complete the following statements. Complete the following statements. Here we have oxidation is a chemical process where the atom what electron or more. An electron or more. As here we talk about oxidation as a chemical process where the atom what يحصل لها الاتوم what. Here atom will loses electron or more because oxidation has two terms. We can define oxidation according to electrons and we can define oxidation according to increasing of oxygen.
Okay, oxidation is a chemical process. What about reduction?
Reduction at the same time as a chemical process, but the opposite chemical process of oxidation. Oxidation is a chemical process in which the atom loses electron or more. ممكن أقولها كده. ممكن أقول oxidation is a process in which the ratio or the percentage of oxygen increases because we talk about oxidation. And reduction is the opposite. مش أنا قلت oxidation is the ratio of oxygen increase, so reduction is a process in which the ratio of oxygen decreases. Or بقول oxidation it is a process in which the atom loses electron or more, so reduction it is a process in which the atom gains electron or more. If we know one of them, we can remember the other process because each one of them as the opposite one or concurrent يعني takes place at the same time. بيحصلوا في نفس الوقت طبعا. يعني one of them lose so the other gain. One of them has increasing oxygen so the other has decreasing of oxygen. At the same time here we have a new question as to what factor is the substance which gains one electron or more during the chemical reaction. Here we talk about what factor in the chemical reaction. What factor that gain بيقول لي في number 2 gain. So we have oxidizing factor or reducing factor. So احنا عرفنا ان oxidation number 1 في number 1 loses electron or more. طيب لما يقول لي what factor gain اقول له يبقى oxidizing factor. عرفت منين؟ مش احنا قلنا oxidation process in which the atom loses electron or more. فيجي يقول لي what factor بقى اللي gain. ما هو لما في واحد lose يبقى في واحد عمل gain يبقى اللي عمل gain هو الاوكسيدايزنج factor. Number 3. During what reactions the compounds break up by heat into its simplest components? During what reactions the compound break up by heat into its simple components? By heat. By heat. So what reaction takes place by heat? As thermal decomposition. As a thermal decomposition reaction. Thermal decomposition reaction takes place when the compound breaks up by heat into its simple or simpler components. Next question is number 4 as what is the reaction between an acid and an alkali to form salt and water? As we studied before in second prep خدناها في تانية اعدادي and we study this information again in third prep وخدناها تاني في تالتة اعدادي. What reaction is the reaction between acid and alkali or acid and base forming salt and water? So here we have only one reaction is called a neutralization reaction as the reaction between acid and alkali forming salt and water. Okay. Number 5. what is the substance which gives oxygen? Gives oxygen or taken away hydrogen. We didn't need to complete the statement. Substance gives oxygen. What factor or what agent gives oxygen? Oxidizing agent. خلي بالنا. Oxidizing agent. So we can define oxidizing agent as number 2 and number 5. Oxidizing agent or oxidizing factor, substance which gain electron or more, as number 2. Or oxidizing agent as number 5, substance gives oxygen. So we have two meanings or two terms of oxidizing agent or oxidizing factor. Okay. Next one is complete the following statements, and here we talk about the speed of chemical reaction. At the beginning of reaction, the concentration of reactants equal how many percent? We talk about reactants here, and we talk about at the beginning. We should remember the two words here, at the beginning, and we talk about reactants. Type at the beginning of reactants, the concentration, or at the beginning of reaction, the concentration of reactants equal how many percent? We have no thing except reactants, so 100%. عارفين لو قال لي at the end شال كلمة beginning وخلاها at the end وخلى reactants زي ما هي، اقول له at the end the concentration of reactants، اقول له zero، لان هما change into products، لو حاجة تانية خالص. So we should remember the beginning or timing here, and we talk about reactants or products. The change in the concentration of reactants and resultants or products in a time unit is what? As a scientific term, the change in the concentration of reactants and products or resultants in a time unit, considered as, yes, considered as speed of chemical reaction. Speed of chemical reaction. So we can differentiate between chemical reaction as a breaking down the bonds between reactants, forming new bonds between the products. But here we talk about speed of chemical reaction. عرفت منين؟ لأنه قال لي change in concentration of reactants and the products in time unit. لما الموضوع دخل فيه time يبقى أكيد we talk about speed as we studied before in the first term. Number 8. The increase in concentration of reactants make the chemical reaction what? Increase. لو أنا زودت ال concentration as a factor from the factors affecting the speed of chemical reactions. We have 5 factors affecting the speed of chemical reaction as temperature, concentration, surface area, type of compound, and catalyst. So increase the concentration of reactants, the make chemical reaction speed increase. سرعته هتزيد. If the concentration increase, the speed of chemical reaction will increase. يبقى هنا we can answer with speed increases. السرعة بتاعته هتزيد as we burn piece of wood in jar contains only oxygen, and we burn piece of wood in open area. لو حرقت خشب في مكان مقفول وفيش الا oxygen بس، اقول له concentration of oxygen increase, so the speed of chemical reaction will increase. Then if we burn any material in open area, اقول له فيها oxygen بس concentration decrease, so that the speed of chemical reaction will decrease. Number 9. The reaction of contributing compounds. Contributing. What is meant by contributing as we studied before? As contributing as covalent compounds is what? The reaction of covalent compound is what? Number 9. أقول له slower than what? Slower than ionic compound, because ionic compounds break down into ions, while covalent compounds or contributing compounds breaking down into molecules, as we give reason for before. Okay. Number 10. Sodium chloride powder react with what than cube of sodium chloride. Again نسمعه تاني، بيقول لي صوديوم كلورايد باودر، بيقول ايه باودر؟ تمام. Than cube of sodium chloride. React faster or slower? Sodium chloride powder. If we talk about powder or fillings or pieces, so we talk about surface area, and the surface area will increase by increasing the pieces. كل ما ازود الباودر كل ما كان المساحة تبقى أكبر. يبقى react faster than a sodium chloride cube. As we try to dissolve، زي ما بحاول أداوب cube of sugar، مكعب سكر، and try to dissolve sugar powder، سكر بودرة. sugar powder will dissolve faster than cube of sugar. مكعب السكر هيدوب أبطأ من الباودر طبعا. Because surface area will increase, so the speed of chemical reaction will increase also. Okay. Next question as substance which increase the chemical reaction without sharing in the reaction. Substance speed or increases the speed of reaction without sharing in the reaction. يعني هي هتزود السرعة بس هي مش هتتدخل. ازاي؟ ده سحر. As a magician, here we talk about what, if you remember, as the fifth factor affecting the speed of chemical reaction. Here we talk about, yes, we talk about the catalysts. Yes, catalysts. So catalyst speed up the reaction without being changed. يعني هو هيخلي الرياكشن يبقى يعني أسرع but without being what changed. Okay. Next question is, here we have triangle, here we have triangle, here we have triangle, and here we have triangle. So we talk about thermal decomposition reaction as a breaking down of molecules or compounds by heating into simpler one. Here we have NaCl as a sodium chloride with AgNO3 as a silver nitrate. As you see in front of you, we have double substitution reaction. So we make positive, negative, positive, and negative. Each positive will combine with another negative. So we have what? We have NaNO3 as sodium nitrate with AgCl. We start with positive and end with negative. عشان محدش يقول لي انت ليه كتبت Na الاول. We start with positive and end with negative. And Ag before Cl, because Ag is positive ion, Cl or chlorine is negative ion. Ag is silver. And AgCl is silver chloride, and silver chloride is white PPT or white precipitate. راسب يعني. Okay. Next question is blue copper hydroxide. As you see here, we know copper as a kind man. Only take one oxygen and left the rest. هيسيب الباقي كله. يعني copper will take one oxygen from here and left the rest. So how many oxygen and how many hydrogen? Here we have 2 oxygen atoms and 2 hydrogen atoms. But copper combined with 1 oxygen producing copper oxide. Producing copper oxide, and here the rest is H2O as water. As what? As water. Water evolves يعني as water vapor يعني بخار, because we have here we have heating, we have triangle. And we have the king here as a sodium. Sodium only left 1 oxygen at a molecule and take the rest. عكس الكبر يعني طماع. يعني الصوديوم will left only O2 هيسيب O2 اقول له O2 here O2 evolve oxygen gas and you write 2Na NO2 sodium nitrite and we know sodium nitrite is yellowish white as a song here while sodium nitrate NaNO3 is white. So by heating it will change into yellowish white color because it will change into sodium nitrite 2NaNO2. The last equation or the last chemical reaction and complete the following statements. 2HGO as a mercuric oxide and we know mercuric oxide its color is red. It will change into what and what? We know we have 2 mercury and 2 oxygen. So we will write here 2Hg and here we write O2 oxygen gas evolve. As a simplest form of thermal decomposition reaction, the breaking down of compounds into simpler molecules or simpler substances. So dear students, from these equations, from the previous equations, we can remember how can we answer each one of them by its own specific rule. Copper only take 1 oxygen and left the rest, while sodium in thermal decomposition reaction left only 1 oxygen molecule and take the rest. And as you see 2HGO as a mercuric oxide and we know red mercuric oxide its color is red change into mercury and oxygen. Mercury has a silver color and oxygen as we studied before is colorless يعني طبعا ملوش لون. So مش هنقعد نحفظ لا we should remember and understand how can answer each equation according to its own concept بالطريقة بتاعتها.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
I have a question here.
Okay, as you like.
Yeah, it's a give reasons question.
Give reason.
Yeah. It says red mercuric oxide changes into silvery color by heating.
Okay. This question we can answer by the equation and give reason for.
Yeah.
But not only with the equation only. We will write the equation and give reason. ممكن أجاوب بالequation في give reason؟ Especially in thermal decomposition reaction. In double substitution reaction. We can answer. But with equation we should write names and colors. يعني بعد ما اكتب الايكويشن اكتب تحت كل واحد اسمه and its own color if possible. لو موجود عندي في المنهج يعني لونه طبعا لان we have the names احنا عارفين عن اسمائهم كلهم but some we have colors and in this question we depend on colors. يعني زي ما احنا هنشوف كده على البورد هقول له 2HGO producing 2Hg plus O2 on the monitor زي ما انتم شايفين كده او زي ما هتشوفوا قدامكم تمام 2HGO producing 2Hg plus O2. طب انا كتبتها كده في الجيف ريزن اخد درجه؟ لا. اعمل ايه؟ اكتب ريد تحتيها بقى mercuric اوكسايد واقوم اعمل كده ريد mercuric اوكسايد triangle mercury between brackets silver which means silver color because silver is another element يعني and oxygen. We need not more than this answer. Equation with names and the colors as possible. تمام؟ ممكن question number 14. بصوا number 14 هيقول لي sodium nitrate change into yellowish color by heating. اقول له because اقوم كاتب sodium nitrate by heating and change into sodium nitrite and oxygen gas. So we can use equation to answer, but we will write with names and colors and give reason for or what happens when. Next question is complete the following statements. بيقول لي number 16 it's possible to dissolve more solutes in the what solution. It's possible to dissolve ان انا ادوب more solutes فين؟ in what solution? In supersaturated. هو قال لي by heating، ما قالش by heating، يبقى unsaturated. Unsaturated solution. Okay. Number 17. In the stomach, there is what that help in the digestion of proteins, as we studied before. In fourth primary، خدنا fourth primary أو في رابعة ابتدائي stomach digest proteins. But by what؟ هتستخدم ايه الستومك؟ المعدة هتهضم البروتين ازاي؟ digest protein by acids. Or acid that helps in digestion of protein. Number 18, mixtures can be classified in terms of homogeny. يعني على حسب التجانس والتناغم ما بينهم. Mixtures, here we didn't talk about solution, we talk about what? We talk about mixtures. Classified يعني تتقسم لإيه؟ What and what? Homogeneous, yes, homogeneous. And what? And non-homogeneous. Or homogeneous and non-homogeneous. زي ما انتوا عايزين تنطقوها، ننطقها ممكن كده وممكن كده. يبقى mixtures classify into homogeneous and non-homogeneous mixtures, and we can differentiate between them according to what? According to the definition. Homogeneous, we can't differentiate between solute and solvent, but we can't طبعا in homogeneous لانه متجانس، مش عارف افرق ما بين solute and solvent. But in non-homogeneous as sand in water، تراب في الميه، we can differentiate. اقدر اميز. يبقى we can differentiate between solute and solvent. Okay. The breakup of existed bonds in the molecules of reactants and the forming of new bonds is called what? Is called what? سميه ايه ده بقى؟ Break up of the existed bonds in the molecules of reactants and the forming of new bonds is called, yes, as we studied in first prep، زي ما خدناه في اولى اعدادي، chemical reactions. يبقى breaking down the bonds between the reactants، بكسر reactants، and forming new bonds between the products. So here we talk about what? We talk about the chemical reactions. Okay. Next question is, complete the following statements. The speed of chemical reaction, what due to increase of temperature? يبقى here we talk about increasing in temperature. So the speed of chemical reaction will what? Will increase, because here if temperature increase, the speed of chemical reaction increase. As we try to dissolve, for example, يعني sugar in water. Sugar will dissolve faster in hot water than dissolving in cold water. الحاجة بلاش effervescent tablet قرص فوار in hot water and in cold water. The effervescent tablet will produce more effervescence، هيطلع فوران أكتر in hot water. So the speed of chemical reaction what? Due to increase of temperature, the speed of chemical reaction increase هتزيد. Okay. Number 21, dwarfism اللي هو القزم. Dwarfism is a disease caused by the decrease of the secretion of what? Secretion of what? We know we have pituitary gland. Pituitary gland below the brain and secrete what hormones? A hormone that helps in the enlargement or growing of bones, muscles and organs as growth hormone. So dwarfism أو القزامة is decrease of what? Secretion of growth hormones or growth hormone، لأنه هو هرمون واحد بس. Okay. Oxidation and reduction are two what process? Here we have question about oxidation and reduction, and we have to know oxidation and reduction are what process? Are parallel process or processes، يعني بيحصلوا مع بعض. طب يعني in English we can translate because are two concurrent, which means happens or takes place at the same time. Each one of them will happen if the other will happen. يعني كل واحدة فيهم معتمدة على الثانية. يبقى concurrent processes, which means parallel processes because they happen at the same time. يعني بيحصلوا في نفس التوقيت. Number 23. The what hormone is secreted when the rate of glucose sugar increases in the blood? We have a famous hormone. Some people use it, especially any one of them that are suffering from diabetes، اللي عندهم مرض السكر. يبقى what hormone is secreted when the rate of glucose sugar increase in the blood? We need in this case لو السكر زاد في الدم we need insulin. We need insulin hormone that is secreted when the rate of glucose sugar increases in the blood. Okay. Next question is, as a complete, as you see, when the amount of glucose decrease in the blood، as يعني for example in fasting، في الصيام الجلوكوز قل في الدم، السكر قل في الدم. Pancreas secrete what? What hormones? In this case pancreas will secrete glucagon hormone. اسمه ايه؟ glucagon hormone. If the sugar increase in blood, pancreas will secrete insulin. لو السكر زاد في الدم البنكرياس هيفرز الايه؟ الانسولين. But if sugar decreases in blood، بحس ان انا دايخ، السكر قل في الدم، صح؟ وبعدين نرجع نفوق تاني فجأة كده من غير ما ناكل حاجة. طبعا ده مش صح ان احنا نعمل كده. Due to increasing or secretion of glucagon hormone by pancreas. لان طبعا زي ما احنا عارفين الجلوكاجون هرمون will transfer glycogen in liver and muscles، اللي هو store in liver، متخزن في الكبد، into glucose again، يحولوه للسكر تاني. 25 is measured by using the voltmeter and has measuring unit known as what? Here in 25 we can use what and what. We have two physical quantities are measured by voltmeter. ممكن اقول له potential difference، ممكن اقول له electromotive force. Both are measured by using voltmeter and have only one measuring unit as volt. Number 26. The watt is used to measure the electromotive force of a battery in its unit known as what? Used to measure electromotive force. يبقى here we need the name of device or the name of apparatus. اسم جهاز ايه؟ used to measure the electromotive force. عشان قال لي is used ما قاليش measuring unit، يبقى هنا هقول له voltmeter. Voltmeter is used to measure the electromotive force and its unit known as volt. 27. While connecting charged conductors يعني سلوك فيها كهرباء، the electric current passes from the conductor have what potential to conductor have what potential? From, yes, high potential to low potential. So here we have a potential difference. أكيد طبعا يا مستر. So here we have electric current will move from high to low potential. The electric current generated from dynamo is due to converting what energy to what energy, from mechanical energy to what? Electric energy. So here, dear students, we should remember the difference between the types of questions according to the kinetic energy or mechanical energy in question number 28.
All right, Mr. Muhammad, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for this episode, so I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, and I hope we can complete the other types of questions in the next episode as the problems, what happens, and so on.
Yeah, definitely. We still have a lot to do and to review, and until we meet you again, we wish you all the best. Goodbye.